Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Simon, I know you have a presentation for us, and it's very near and dear to your heart. Do you want to tell our audience what you're going to be talking about today?
Yes, well, this is, this is really, it's actually quite a difficult one for me to do, but I'm going to be serializing this over the next 3 weeks. And really, it started in 1944 when the tide of war was turning with the Normandy landings. Another ferocious battle was being waged in Italy around the town monastery of Monte Cassino. Those involved with the D-Day landings called the servicemen on the Italian front the D-Day Dodgers. However, when it came to loss of life, the figures told a different and very tragic story. 55,000 Allied servicemen were killed in the Battle of Cassino, making it the heaviest toll of any battle of World War II, and actually almost of most of the battles of World War I. So over the next 3 weeks, I'm reading from the diary, which I have here, of one soldier who fought at Cassino. The diary was written on whatever scraps of paper that came to hand, and it was written on the battlefield itself. The soldier who wrote the diary was a Major James MacDonald, MC. He was my father. So it starts off in St. Elia in March 1944. Into the line on a very dark night to take over from French Alpine Troop, we lay up in a deep gully about 5 miles long, just before the plain of Cassino, known as the Inferno, and in the dark made the additional 2.5 miles approach march. Light shelling all the way up and very heavy concentration on battalion headquarters area whilst changeover took place. No casualties suffered, strangely enough, for the shelling was fast and heavy. Battalion headquarters were in the monastery, reasonably safe and sheltered, under enemy observation by day, so all movement had to be done at night. Full moon coming up, so patrolling will be sticky work. At 0300 hours, changeover complete, we went round all companies with the commanding officer arriving back at first light. Second night, A Company Recce Patrol contacted Germans. D Company Recce Patrol contacted Germans. Third night, A Company Recce Patrol contacted Germans. D Company Recce Patrol also contacted Germans. Fourth night, C Company Recce Patrol contacted Germans under Bob Lamont. He narrowly escaped with his life, being fired on by automatics at 5 yards range. Got some good information then into the Cassino, the place most people wanted to avoid. Said by so many who ought to know that fighting and life in Cassino was the worst ever experienced in all time. It's impossible to give a day-to-day account of what happened. I tried, but found it totally impossible. My capacity was adjutant, our regular adjutant, Ben Leslie, being left out of the battle. We occupied Cassino for 12 days. B Company took the castle for 12 days, as only one platoon at a time could occupy that position. A Company had ruins of the post office, D Company, the park and ruins around it, C Company in reserve, and battalion headquarters was split into two. Forward being the crypt in the town, and the rear in a farmhouse south of the Rapido. Front and rear changed over after 6 days. The town itself, a pure ruin. Not a wall intact, not a street or a road you could actually distinguish from the bomb craters and rubble. Knocked out tanks lay everywhere, and dead bodies, including one of an American nurse, lay rotting all around and couldn't be shifted. The scene of devastation and filth justifies description, and the stench of dead flesh nauseating. The crypt itself, as was well underground. The air foul, no daylight penetrated. Light was by an oil lamp and candles. About 29 people were cramped into it, and all cooking was done there. Nothing happened during daylight. The movement was impossible. So close were the Germans and ourselves. At night, just after dusk, the town was a hive of feverish activity, clouds of artillery smoke, bursting shells, mortars, and Nebelpfeffers. For then, the porters appeared on both sides, bringing the rations, ammunition, and living necessities. What a job! Struggling with the best part of 100 weight on the back through filth, bodies, shell holes, bullets, and shelling to deliver their stuff, and then bail out as quickly as possible. We lost a complete platoon of D Company one night, except for a sergeant and 3 men. They just vanished in the general confusion of the first darkness. The sergeant didn't get back until the night after, told us the Germans had crept in on them unobserved and overran their position, killing and wounding many and taking several prisoners. The officer, Bert Matthews, was seriously wounded and taken prisoner. He was since written to me, and it's with the 5th Battalion in Germany. We lost many men by the shelling and small arms, and inflicted heavy losses on the Germans by artillery fire and Bren fire. One annoying thing happened. We brought down a murderous stonk on a crowd of Germans, and they'd retaliated on some of our forward positions. Casualties were heavy on both sides. We couldn't get forward to one of our slits, which had 2 badly wounded men in it. So 2 German SBs put up a Red Cross flag and came into our forward slit and carried our 2 wounded in for us. The Aston returned to borrow a stretcher for half an hour to remove some of their wounded lying in front of us. Well, we lent them one, and they returned it with their officer, and their officer's commanding thanks about an hour later. Cases like this were few and far between, and it was invariably a violation of the Red Cross flag that was witnessed. Coming out of the line was a nightmare, shelling and mortaring all the way, but we suffered no casualties on the changeover. Major Jock Stewart and I were the last men out. Poor Jock had a boil on his bottom, but that didn't prevent him from doing a pretty nifty sprint down the Mad Mile at the finish-up. Our opponents were the 1st Parachute Division, the Hellcats of Greece. Our casualties were about 45 killed. Coriano in September 44. We pushed over to the east coast. Heard fighting wasn't as bad there. What a fable. I broke a rib, got a splinter in my shoulder, so left out of battle for Rimini. Mike Kirch took the company in. Heavy casualties, horrible sitting safely at the rear, knowing your boys are fighting instead. Cesena, October 1944. Day 1. B and D companies crossed the Savio River in the dark. A company kept in reserve with battalion headquarters. At 4 p.m., A company crossed in daylight and mopped up a company of 1 parachute division in several blocks of flats and on stadium. Captured German ration party, complete with food and mail. Good to have that. Beer too. Day 2, held on tight against counter-attacks and very heavy shelling. No joke this, but cover good and the cellars deep. Day 3, same again. Called back over the river to conference for a dawn attack. Don't like it. Jocks are all very tired. Day 4, dawn attack. Terrific artillery barrage, and we advanced behind it. Hit heavy opposition, but wiped it out. We suffered heavily ourselves. Captain Silcock and Paddy Strange were both badly wounded. Lot of bad casualties. Took all objectives, swigged some vino, and cheered D Company as they passed through us. Rumours are we're being pulled out tonight. Brigadier orders a company to push through D Company, who are badly held up. Graham sends us. I am annoyed. Attack and tanks and knock Jerry for 6. Push on 2.5 miles and sit down in a lovely little village. Relief King's Royal Regiment takes over at 10 p.m. and we limp back into Cesena and good billets for a 12-day rest and refit. At Forley, November 1944, on day 1, advance at 1 a.m. and pass through 10 Brigade on the Forley airfield. Order A, D and B, no tanks. Everything very quiet. Start clearing town systematically, but discover no Germans, so back on foot for the other side of Forley, right up to the main street. People were wildly enthusiastic. I don't like them. Just on the other side, come under fire from all kinds of weapons, and commanding officer dispersed his battalion into various sections. Jerry's still strong this side. So day 2, B and D companies do double attack through A on the crossroads on the outskirts of town. Disastrous. Arthur Steele killed, casualties terribly heavy. Prisoners are taken of all of German SS division with very pansy black uniforms of all things. B and D companies, well, day 3, same thing. 10 Brigade are trying a party on our right, not successful. He's fighting harder than ever, the beggar. Day 4, plans made for the dawn attack. Order A company and tanks, B and D companies, like this one. Looks easy. Don't think we'll hit much. Mail arrived, probably accounts for feeling. Day 5, dawn attack. Started very well. Captured German wagon full of kit, also motorbike. Second objective made stiff opposition, but we turned the company and tanks on it and captured 31 prisoners, all very surprised. Third objective was captured, 10 prisoners, and killed and wounded many. Jock's now fighting mad, and tanks giving wonderful support. We've left Battalion about 2 miles behind now, but Jerry is running, nearing the main road and river, so going more cautiously. Planned my final attack on a village on the road junction. I send in 1 platoon of a troop of tanks, and as all is quiet. Suddenly, all hell let loose, and my company, who aren't killed, are driven back. George Alexander killed, 2 tanks are knocked out. We hold it till dusk and put 2 platoon attack. No use. Commanding officer says, hold it, and as we fought well, and he'll send through D company and the carrier. D company passes through and we rest. Bob Lamont was wounded. Day 6, sitting tight. Commanding officer sends for all company commanders to tell them, next action, Morricane. I was at the rear of the echelon, but it was only a 2-day scrap. When it was over, Graham Smith went to a court-martial of someone, and I took over A company. Rome fell. That's part 1 today of my father's fighting at Casino. It was a hard, hard fight, a hard, hard battle.